Greetings, adventurer, and welcome to the corner of the tavern. I'm Patrick.
I'm Key.
I'm Mikey.
And today, we will be talking about world building and how it is important. Mainly, I'll be bitching about worlds that I hate because they don't do it well. What about you guys?
I think world building is fun. I think it's come to theorize ideas of what tropes should be or you want to change and or implement into your own personal world that you want to show to other people.
No, I agree. I really enjoy world building, either learning about it through games and such, or just doing it on my own kind of idea.
I have never been good at it, admittedly. Like, whenever I DM and play and stuff, I very much kind of... I'm very, like, yes Andy. I'm a yes Andy. And so, like, I don't know, there have just been multiple times where, like, I say a lot of shit that'll contradict, or, like, I'll start a game someplace and it'll take off somewhere else. Like, I'm pretty sure I've told both of you guys this story off camera, but I remember the first game I ever played, and maybe this isn't a good example because I had no prep time or whatever, it was all improv, but the starting village was called Mine Farm because I was playing with an ex, and she had never played before, and she was like, what is the name of this village? And I was like, well, of course it's Mine Farm. And she's like, Mine Farm? And I'm like, yep, because that's what we do here. We mine and we farm. We mine and we farm. Is what we're known for. We have 2 exports. Most villages only got the 1.
They got the 1.
And see, you think you might not be good at it, but like your approach is still really comedic, though, which I do appreciate about.
There's like, a level of charm to that.
Yeah, like whenever you DM it, it's just kind of like, it's kind of more laid back. It's more played for like the laughs and stuff. Like there's still a good story there. I'm not trying to downplay or anything like that, but it's not as focused like that. You throw some jokes in, like, oh yeah, it's Mine Farm. That's what we do. We got the 2 exports. Like,
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's also why, like, I'm really good at running icons games in particular, because that to me is very much like a do not take this shit seriously type game.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
I've enjoyed icons every time we played. Like they've each had funny moments.
It was incredibly funny. I remember I was trying to interrogate a head editor for a newspaper, and that was incredible fun, just back and forth of accusing each other of different. I was trying to get information from you, and you were just like, "Oh no, this."
Mm-hmm.
I own this building.
No, my favorite part was when you totally like Karen'd out and like laid down on the ground and was like, security has to drag me out.
Yeah, I was doing all of the protester techniques. I was laying on the ground. I was just going limp so that they had to drag me out.
Yeah, they did like pick you up sideways.
Yeah,
screaming.
One of my favorite details from that is also when they took you into the elevator and you said you started like just kicking the buttons.
Yeah, I started kicking the elevator
You have to
buttons.
stop on every floor on your way out.
Just to waste their time.
Keep in mind, Icons is a superhero game.
Yeah.
I was incognito at the time.
It's still just funny to think about, because I talked about that with my brother, and he's like, dude, imagine Bruce Wayne doing that shit. Like, he's undercover at like the Daily Bugle or whatever. I don't know what they got in
He just
Gotham.
goes like full Nepo baby.
Yeah. Like, do you know who my dad was? Yeah, a corpse in the fucking ground! Get the fuck out of here! No, we had a really good back and forth on that, because I told him about you guys like in the detective story, and then he's like, dude, imagine like, Batman's like talking to Alfred, and he's like, I think it has something to do with Calendar Man. And they're like, Master Wayne, Calendar Man hasn't been relevant in this story since its inception. No, it's gotta be him.
It's gotta be him.
If it's not, I'll be real with you, Alfred. I have no idea.
Everyone's like pale and sickly.
No, that was a fun game.
Yeah, it was super fun.
No, I really enjoyed the spider character. He's
Yeah.
an absolute freak.
No, I liked both of the characters you guys came up with.
Yeah.
I like Arsenal's backstory, how it's like very that superhero trope of they find something that turns them into the hero they are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Icons is a good game. But like I said, I view it very much like not to be taken seriously because again, by the nature of comic books, like it's very easy to like drop in, drop out players. Like,
This week's issue, we have this guy coming in.
Yeah, so and so.
exactly, like as opposed to Dungeons and Dragons, like which is like
Oh, Daredevil's in this.
They have
comic?
somewhat just of a little bit longer form narrative.
well, and also like I don't know, it's like if you were to compare like again. I imagine like every D&D game kind of running like a Lord of the Rings-esque movie. It's like if Gimli just wasn't there for like 10 scenes in a row, you'd kind of notice it.
Yeah.
And then he's just back.
Yep, he's back.
I wonder if you could, like, I mean, I guess you could just run a really serious campaign on
Icons.
Like icons.
I mean, you could.
It obviously lends itself to being more goofy, though. Because it is
Yeah.
comic book based.
It's comic book inspired.
I remember years and years ago on the opposite end of the spectrum, I was dating this one girl and she had a D&D group and I was like, oh, could you get me in? And she was like, yeah. And then she told me about some of the adventures that they were having and I was like, that's okay. I don't want.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I don't want to play with your group anymore. Like they started a mercenary group called the Dildos. Like that's what they called themselves.
Oh god.
Yeah, I was like,
It's just full comedy.
yeah, I was like, oh, it's that kind of like and cringe comedy at that. It's like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't need to play in a game like that.
We pay each other in upvotes.
Here's some Reddit gold.
Okay, maybe you're bringing me back around. Maybe I
Tell me your D&D game has red gold?
Dude, I have been wanting to try and get like an IRL Dungeons and Dragons adventure together, and by that I mean I want to do an escape room with like 3 other strangers. Complete strangers.
You want to sort of like make your own fellowship and then go on an adventure?
Yes, yes. Because so for the longest time, I know I've talked to you guys about this. Like, what I wanted to do is an escape room first date, and when I finally did that, like that was like my next step. I was like, now I need to do an escape room with 3 other strangers.
Yeah.
Got one stranger, now it's time to get 3 others.
Yeah. Dude, imagine like going on a dating website with that in mind. You like set up like 3 separate dates with chicks. Do not tell them ahead of time. And then be like, and now that you have all gathered, it is time to face the dungeon.
Face the dungeon. Face the eye of the beholder.
How quickly do you think they would leave?
Immediately. Immediately.
That reminds me.
You paid the guy who runs the place. He locked the door.
There was a girl who did something kind of similar to that, where she like invited like matched with 100 guys on Tinder, set up a date with all of them, and then had them compete and like filmed it and had them compete for like her
didn't
hand.
2/3 of those guys just walk away?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have stayed, but only to like.
Just compete. for the
Yeah,
sake of it.
yeah, like.
If you won, would you still go on the date?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
I'd be like, you are trash, but just know I won.
Just know that I did this for the love of the game.
That means if you go for any of the other ones, you're settling and then walk away.
No, go like Mikey said, like go full Jimmy Hopkins on him.
Yeah, go full Jimmy Hopkins.
Okay, you won. You can have her. Have who? Lola. Isn't that why you did this? Oh, Johnny, I don't care about her. You can keep that slut.
Yeah.
Then why did you do this? Why did you fight? Just to prove that you're tougher than me? Yeah, I'm tougher than you. And don't you or your crew forget about it. What the fuck is wrong with
Where is that from?
It's from Bully.
It's from
Game
a
by Rockstar.
Yeah, it's from a-
gotcha. Yeah, I
yeah.
haven't played that one.
Oh, you should. It's great.
It's a good game.
It's like to me, it's like one of the PS2 like classics of
No,
all time.
I know you've played that one a few times, or a lot, I should say.
Yes.
I never got around to playing that one.
Yeah, it's good. It holds up. To the point where people still, to this day, are like, Bully 2 when?
Yeah, people want a Bully 2, and people still do playthroughs of Bully.
Bloodborne 2 when?
That we're dead on that. Sony has given up on.
Oh,
that.
really?
know.
I feel they have.
No chance, no shot.
Anyway, What are your favorite starting points for fantasy world building?
Thank you. I was actually just gonna start steering the conversation back.
In a school, Bulworth potentially.
Okay. Well, I mean, yes. Yeah, I guess that counts.
I don't know. Like I said, that would be more down to you guys because I just wing a lot of shit. I
definitely like doing sort of the Tolkien Middle Earth, like medieval fantasy. That I enjoy as a starting point. That or definitely more historical. But you gotta have magic. Magic's gotta be there.
Are you not a fan of like low magic systems?
I am not. I'm not a fan of like. I like the characters of Game of Thrones. I'm not the biggest fan of the world.
So would you not be open to playing the Game of Thrones like TTRPG by example?
I'd still try it. I'd still be open to play it. But like,
it's a shame what happened at the end of that show, and shame the book series will never be finished. But
yeah,
I actually really did enjoy
George is done. He's sitting on his pile of cash.
Oh yeah,
he's done.
He's done.
Yeah.
He's not gonna finish it. I came to terms with that a while ago.
What do you guys think about the conspiracy that like that was the ending he had planned? Like, he saw the negative reaction, so he's just like not gonna do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's true. I think what happened was that like he had told them ahead of time like the plot points of like where things were gonna end up, but because the two guys writing it, the D&D or whatever. Not this D&D, the other D&D. They got a deal from Disney, and they're like, oh well, let's just rush this shit out real quick. Like we'll just end the Game of Thrones show, and we can go start on that contract. It's gonna get us a lot of money. But because they did that and like just rushed through all those plot points that were supposed to finish out the series, it obviously went over very badly, and then it went over so badly they lost their deal with Disney anyway.
That's what I was gonna say. I didn't see them do any.
So nobody won from this.
No, not the fans, not the production, not HBO,
not the writer. Like
not the writers.
Like George R.R. Martin, he's like, well, now the end of my story's fucked because if I go ahead and write that out, people are gonna hate it. So he's been trying to rewrite that shit for however long now, and he's like, it's not happening.
Well, that's my story. I never did find out why she burned down the Iron City, and
but
whatever that's.
And how Valyrian Steel came about.
To answer your question from earlier, though, like where you usually start with world building, I typically start with like plotting out a landmass or something. Like if I'm making my own thing,
start with a map.
Yep. Yeah, I usually start with a map.
I think that's a great start.
Either like if it's a world that already exists, cool. Most of that work's already been put into it, and then I can just kind of go off that. Or if I'm creating my own, I usually do start with a map, and then once I understand the terrain of what I'm making, then I'm like, all right, well then who lives here? How do they live here? It's because I like to make my worlds feel like alive and very descriptive, which I know you've kind of experienced sometimes when I have DM before, but that's why I kind of like start with as kind of like a living world. Like if I have a place where things exist, how do they exist there? Like how is daily life for them?
I have noticed that attention to detail, and I have loved every time like you've DM'd when like because like there's like that you come up with like these concepts that I just never would have thought about, but it like makes sense in like this cohesive environment.
Yeah.
I look forward to experiencing that.
Yes. One of the I will say I do feel bad because I did unintentionally ruin one of your playtests because
how'd you do that?
because so we were doing a one-on-one game because you wanted to play test some ideas.
Yeah.
And I chose to play with Qual Kalmar.
Mind you, this is the first
Qual Kalmar.
This is the first time I've ever DM'd.
Okay.
Like that was the first time I ever DM'd. He was playing this character, which kind of worked out a little bit because I still didn't understand how most of the mechanics work. So like, like you being a coward, like that character being a coward, kind of helped because I was like, I really hope he doesn't because it's like he kept trying to initiate combat with people, and I'm like, fuck, I only half know how to do this right now, and then he would pussy out of it like last second. And I'd be like, okay, good.
Yeah, Qual is like. Yeah, I didn't think about this because he's definitely not a solo adventurer. He definitely needs like other people to compliment like his negative traits because he is almost entirely negative traits. So yeah, he just like basically would like go somewhere and then like pronounce his greatness, and then someone would kind of challenge him on it, and he'd be like, "You shut the fuck up! You shut the fuck up right now! You have no idea. Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know who you're talking to right now?" And then like
Yeah,
and then,
as soon as the people get up in arms like they want to fight, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
yeah. I didn't mean that. Like, he's just a real piece of shit.
But you know what you're saying before about I like how I usually twist things, because that is something I do enjoy about when I am world building. Like a good example, I think one of the cooler ideas, and not to toot my own horn, but one of the cooler ideas I kind of thought of was they were going through like this swamp area that kind of like fed in. It was like a very swampy like forest area, and they're going into a deeper section of it that was like so canopied by trees that it was just dark there. There was like luminescent like fungus around, right?
Okay.
And there was like a tribe of lizard folk who lived there, and it like the way I had like their biology work, because I was thinking about like, well, if they're living in this terrain, eating these mushrooms and like being surrounded by all this kind of spores and stuff, how would that like affect their bodies physically? So it's like this
they would take the properties of their environment.
Yeah, so they had like this like jet black like obsidian skin,
okay,
and like their muscle movements, like it could be seen under their skin, like
okay.
luminescent wise.
Luminescent.
Yeah, it's like bioluminescence, like
okay,
like when they move, like the muscle movements can be like flashed and seen like through their skin. So they have like their own like way of communicating with like different like slight variations of facial expression stuff would like very drastically change what they see on their face or movements in the body and stuff like that. And I thought it was a really neat aesthetic to work with. And then like in daylight, I kind of like worked it into you don't really see that as much. But like in the dark, like they are pretty much like glow in the dark lizards. I thought it was kind of neat.
One of my favorite details from that was that they like dressed very Native American-y, but like instead of like the feathers.
Oh,
of, like,
yeah.
Instead of feathers from birds, it's like feathers from giant insects.
Yeah.
Like they wore chitin armor instead of like leather from cows, and then like the chief wore a headdress, but the headdress was like a basic
insect wings.
Yeah,
it's all
big
insect wings and
that
stuff.
went down, and I was like, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, like they had insect wing like fletching on their arrows and stuff like that. Like it was a good civilization.
I think you find a lot of things interesting in the Dark Sun D&D setting.
I'll have to look into it. I know you mentioned it a few times.
In that setting, like metal weapons and gear are like prized.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
And so like things are made of bone, chitin, sinew.
Yeah, I like when like most things are rare, or like things we take for granted are like rare, and you have to utilize different things in the environment to like really work with it.
I liked in the most recent campaign we completed with you running it.
Yeah.
I liked the stuff that you added to the Veiled Society.
Oh yes, I ran the Veiled Society adventure from 2nd edition, but converted it for 3rd. I increased the power of the Veiled Society faction by giving them dragon marks from the Ebron setting.
Yeah, and I liked that because it made them feel like a very credible threat, like almost. Excuse me.
Because in that normal adventure, they're just like human rogues. They're not very special.
Like it made them feel very Lin Kuei-esque from Mortal Kombat. Like where do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they got like they're like assassins with magic, and
yeah.
Again it makes them more of a threat as opposed to if they were just rogues with daggers and shit. Like that's like it would still be fine or whatever, but it definitely like gave them an X factor.
Yeah, it makes them like more fantastical. It makes them more of a threat because also they're just not hitting your AC. They're making you do saves. They have alternate ways of fighting you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it makes sense because like an assassin would probably employ that kind of shit.
They would have an arsenal of ways to take you down.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I've had some ideas for like implementing certain things into like campaigns. I want to get your guys' take on them.
Okay.
First take.
All right. So in certain older editions and like lore and stuff for it might even just be Forgotten Realms. Like I said, it's the one I know the most about when it comes to D&D. Belief is a powerful thing. So like, you know, like the Kuo-toa, for example, they would just make up a god, believe in him so hard that it becomes a real kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
So like in that sense, illusions can also, or like I kind of want to bleed into that a little bit and like make it more like illusions can hurt people.
Yeah.
If they believe in it hard enough.
I'm familiar with the Phantasmal Killer spell.
So like
I'm not. Tell me about it.
It makes an illusion that can kill you with fright.
Ooh,
there you go.
Pure fright alone will be able to slay you.
that's awesome. I like that.
So for example, like if somebody were to cast like Fairy Fire, right? And they were to cast it on, it would like go based on like what the character knows. So if say you cast Fairy Fire on a wizard, they're gonna know what that is. It's not gonna affect them outside of what Fairy Fire does. But say you cast it on a goblin and he doesn't know what that is, like he might be so scared of it, like there could be like a roll check to see like if he actually ends up taking damage from it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm not too keen on him suffering damage because of that, but I am
Or like a status effect or
like
something.
yeah, like causing him to flee in, let's say, terror. He cowers before it.
Mhm.
I think that is more appropriate than him taking like mental damage.
Mm-hmm. I agree because I feel like being too fast and loose with shit like that, like it becomes a very slippery slope of like any spell could do anything because nobody
fair.
knows what they do.
And that's another thing to talk about in, I'd say, world building is your magic a high levels of magic, or it's almost like, for example, is it a part of everyday life, or is it very low magic, or is your magic dangerous?
Mm-hmm. I've never done like a low magic setting or a no magic setting before. I would be interested in that, but I'd like
You could experience that with the Dark Sun setting.
yeah. No, I'm all down for that. Like, but it's just I've also noticed a lot of people are sort of adverse to that. They're sort of
Well, I mean, fantasy, you kind of want a lot of that flashy magic stuff
Yeah,
in there usually.
people like high magic, high fantasy. You know, they I do too. I was very attracted to that in the beginning.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I generally prefer like high fantasy and stuff, but like when it comes to like low magic settings and stuff, I really do like that too, especially when like magic is seen as something a little bit more like mystical or like obscure, and like you have to interact with it in a very specific kind of way, as opposed to just like, oh, I've studied from a book, I can, you know, cast a fireball or something. Yeah. So
I know the materials, I know the incantations, I know the hand movements, I just do magic.
Guys, if magic
it's
was
much more
real,
ritualistic.
if magic was real, would you teach it to yourselves?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be in a tower locked away with books that talking magic.
I don't know if I would, which is ironic given my current outfit. You guys can have all that fancy book learning.
No, I'll take the fancy book learning.
I will as well.
Draw your sword, coward.
Okay.
Okay.
That's like that picture of the like the wizard who like runs out of spell slots. He like rips his shirt off. And he's fucking shredded.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go for that. I'd split my time between studying and martial prowess.
I would be practicing the blade and the spell.
That's the ideal character.
Yeah,
for me, man.
you might not like it, but this is ideal.
You might not like idea, but this is peak
peak male performance.
While you were seducing maidens, I was studying the tomes.
Pretty much.
Is he courting maidens?
As you were courting me.
Oh, the elf went for the orc again.
Their big muscles. When will they realize that my beautiful gnome
What is
brain...
it about the color green that attracts so many women?
Oh, man.
Dwarves are nice guys.
I'm a nice dwarf. Why don't the maidens pick me?
Does he work for the banks?
No, see, I guess that would be more like a gnome thing. I guess the dwarves would be almost like a MGTOW. Dwarves going to Digtown.
Guys, off topic. No, let me tie it back into the topic. Okay. Say you're building a world. Which race would you make the most bitchless?
The most bitchless.
The most bitchless race.
Most bitchless.
Funnily enough, gnomes.
Yeah, probably gnomes.
Because the thing is, like, that's why they're so obscure. You don't see them much.
That's why they go deep town, like Irky Timbers.
Yeah.
If gnomes wasn't an option, I would say Amazonians. I like the idea of the Amazonians, but I do like the trope that they're like an all-female thing, and that they have to go to other species in order to mate.
So you're saying, you're going for like the femcell route.
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of it being like that's the reason that dwarves are seen, or not dwarves, like gnomes and stuff are seen as like some whimsical fey creature that like
Because they don't come
Yeah.
out of their redditor basements.
Yeah, you might catch a glimpse of one in the woods, but nobody believes you. They've never seen one before. I swear it took my socks. I don't know why.
They appeared later, but all crusted up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All my gamer sup potions are disappearing.
I would definitely chalk up. I love dwarves. I would definitely chalk them up as a bitchless class or race, though. Because listen, you're short, you're hairy,
You diggy the hole.
you diggy the hole, you're dirty, you're sweaty, and by most pop culture things, you're not just dirty and sweaty. You like it. You're like you go up to everybody and you're like, oh, you're just a prissy dick fart. I like drinking and smelling like shit.
No, I disagree because that's just dwarf women too. So like that's why they still propagate as a race because all of them are like that. They're just
On the
like
topic
that to
of dwarf
everyone who's
women.
not dwarves.
No, but I'm saying
On the
like
topic of dwarf women, guys, beards or no beards?
For world building, beards. For personal reasons, no beards. But still, I would give them beards.
yeah, I agree.
No
like
beards.
I agree. Like that. Like dwarves just have beards. Like gender aside.
Yeah, like regardless, like they just all have beards.
Yeah, but I agree. If she ain't shaving, I ain't smashing that shit. Like you may be a short stack.
Not, I just mean no beards in the sense of like I don't know if either of you guys have watched this Dungeon Meshi. There's like the female dwarves in there just don't have beards kind of idea.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So like if that was the sense, oh yeah. But if I'm world building or if I would like to see something that's like world building with dwarves in it, I'd probably give the women beards too because that's just how dwarves work.
I know, I agree. Like, you give them the beards, but if they got one when they show up on the first date, you leave them with a check, dude.
Hold on, how well is it groomed though? How well is it groomed?
That don't matter, dude.
Medieval fantasy standards.
You know, so you know, brush pretty well. Probably has some like
Yeah, you got like
some
the
shit in there.
You know, the braids
Yeah.
and the mustache and
Some
Especially if she's from a wealthy cast.
You know what? I'm kind of digging it. Hey, look, if she can do it, look,
You're
it's
so
kind
full
of
of shit.
I'm
Hey,
outside
shit.
this conversation.
Look, okay, I'm thinking from like purely this is a fantasy world standpoint, right? Like you're seeing like goofy creatures all the time. It's like a fucking Disney movie. You got like lizard men walking around. There's cat people. You got dwarves and
Whoa,
shit.
that's some furry shit.
And then
You're talking about cat people, and when nobody's talking about cat people.
No, yeah, you brought that into the conversation.
Look, I'm just saying the kind of
Listen, this is what you
fantasy
need to
races
do.
that are
When it-
walking
when it
around
comes-
on a daily
when it
basis.
comes to
You gotta
those
understand me.
when it comes to those animals that walk upright, they can only be monsters.
You know what? Fair.
They can only be monsters.
Very xenophobic of you, Mikey. I say it with my whole chest.
That's right.
No, but I'm saying like you got like all these different fantasy races walking around.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Death
get
to
you.
the bespoke.
Death to the beast.
Death to the bespoke. But so I mean, like any dwarf you see is just gonna have a beard. That's just how like it'd be like looking at it'd be like looking at an
Not
elf.
if she's my girl.
All right, but looking at elves, like you're not gonna see an elf with a beard.
Yeah, and I'd smash any elf.
Looks feminine enough to me. But, so on that standpoint,
Yeah.
I'm saying she does her beard well. I'm not gonna be too mad about it.
Okay. You go to a date. You hook up on
I feel
Flint
like-
and Steel on your sending stone.
Hold on,
You
maybe-
download Flint and Steel on your sending
Before
stone.
you
Download
before you
Flint and
continue,
Steel on the
first
sending
of all,
stone.
that's funny. But before you continue, let me put it this way. I guess it's kind of like the do you prefer your girl shaved or no shaved kind of debate in that sense.
It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different.
Shaved is always preferable.
Is it like maintained? I see what you're
See,
saying.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying?
I go,
You see what I'm saying?
You know what? You got me.
That's
you
what
son of a
I'm
bitch.
thinking about. That's in
You know what
my
I'm
mind,
saying?
like in my mind, that's kind of where the angle I'm coming at it from right now, right? Like you just consider like, okay, this is a dwarf. This is what happens. It'd be like, all right, well, same idea. Like, is it well maintained?
I get you. But okay. So like I said, you download Flint and Steel on your
Yes,
sending
exactly.
stone. You match with a dwarf. She don't got a beard in any of her pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, she's got a beard. But it's groomed, but she's got a beard. How do you feel?
I mean, I wouldn't be too mad at it.
I would. I'd be furious.
I'd be fuming.
Look, it's not like you're showing up. I know you've been through this kind of stuff before.
Oh boy, am I!
Would you
Sha-
show
look,
up? Would you
shaving-
show up red in the face with steam coming out of your ears?
Look, like shaving your face
Yes.
is a way quicker fix than what you've had to what you've experienced. So like, if that was the case, the thing of a razor, she was down with it. But also going into it, this is a world where dwarves exist. They all have beards. So I wouldn't be mad. It's not like
Yeah, and
like,
we exist in a world with humans, and a lot of them are fat. That doesn't mean when I show up and my date's 50 pounds heavier, which happened to me 3 fucking times in a row, that I can just be cool with it. But you know what happens in reality? I don't go cartoonishly like, woo! I go, oh, nice to see you, and then we have a pleasant evening, and I just block them on everything when I leave.
And that's how you do it, folks.
but a beard can be shaved.
But would she be willing to shave it for me?
I don't know. Get to know her.
I gotta get to know. You showed up to the first date
All right,
looking like
gentlemen.
shit, and I gotta get to know you.
Okay,
first?
but you're saying
Gentlemen.
the beard's well groomed. You're saying you didn't say like it's a ratty ass beard. If it was a ratty ass,
If you're a woman with a beard, you look like shit. It doesn't matter if it's groomed or not.
Gentlemen, what fantasy tropes do you wish you were implemented in more worlds?
More fantasy tropes. Hold on, let me wind down from that conversation. Get back on track with this one.
Well, I tell you what I wouldn't implement.
And that is?
And that is women with beards
I agree.
dating me.
The same as me.
More fantasy tropes. That I like.
Biome specific, like cultures in close proximity with each other. I like that. I guess that kind of feeds back to
That's a
like
little bit hard for me to see. Can you give me an example?
Avatar, Bionicle,
Okay.
like that kind of stuff. The Elder Scrolls,
Okay.
there's very biome specific cultures or people or whatever it may be in those things, but they're like right next to each other.
Okay.
So like you get this nice interbleed of like cultures and like the world and stuff, but like they all very specifically have their own place where they're like the strongest.
Gotcha.
I like that.
Not like the stereotypical castles, villages, towns, etc.
That's what I said. I guess for me, that's why like world building always starts with the map, because I figured that first. I like this, like placing a setting and then figuring out like how the people there live.
For me, it's still the concept of the Amazonian. It's very like 80s sword and sorcery. I think it's just really cool that in like it feels like a strong woman theme that works.
I don't know if it's a trope. I mean, it might be.
No, the
I'm
Antonio one's pretty good.
I'm a big fan of like the opposite of the Chosen One kind of a deal, where it's just like you're
The
just
rags to riches.
yeah, you're just guys.
Just normal guys, and then you become the epic hero.
Yeah, I feel like that's much more rewarding than like you were chosen by fate at birth to be cool.
Yeah, but you were part of the prophecy the entire time.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I do agree, but I also like Morrowind does this really well. For example, you're not exactly fulfilling a prophecy, like you are. From an outside point of view, it's like, yeah, you know, you're coming in, you're taking all these steps, and you're fulfilling a prophecy. You're the chosen one. But in reality, you're just a guy bumbling through a series of events that like just happen to line up with how things work. So it's not like you're really like going on a path or anything. You just happen to be like getting loop around things. It's like, oh, the prophecy's like, oh, he's immortal and immune to disease. Well, yeah, because he's got like the world's deadliest virus. He just happened to take like half the antidote. So like
Yeah.
they, like workarounds for like that premise I think are really fun because it kind of subverts it a little bit. But I do agree with like a rags to riches kind of idea, because I do enjoy like playing that in like certain RPG games and stuff, like starting with like absolutely nothing, like how far can I get working like a normal person.
Yeah, another trope. I'm trying to think, because I like subverting tropes, not to the extent where like, you know, do you guys remember in like the middle to late 2010s when
everything was doing it.
Yeah, everything was about subverting your expectations to the extent where they
Yeah.
would retcon shit to not make sense because most people would guess what the outcome was, or even if like
Yeah.
a few people guessed it.
I think it's because of Game of Thrones is why that popped off so hard.
Absolutely, everybody's trying to
Such
be
a
the
good
next
hit.
George.
Yeah, it like infected the Star Wars sequels to a major degree. Yeah.
The thing, well, the thing is, when it came to the Star Wars sequels, like they didn't even have anything in mind, like, or really, like they didn't have anything planned out. They were gonna play it by like an ear, like on ear basis or whatever.
Which is weird considering you knew you were gonna make it a trilogy.
Yeah, like they knew they were doing 3 movies and they neglected to plan any of it out, and also flip flop the directors, just because like fuck it, why not?
I mean, the director's thing is fine if like, as long as you have like your story, your major story beats of like,
Yeah, and also
you
the
gotta get
directors
Such
don't
a
hate
bad-
each other.
It's just a bad mismanagement of the IP.
It is, yeah. They didn't have a storyboard or anything for
No,
it. They
it's
didn't have a plan.
ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened to one of America's greatest IPs.
Yeah, the like I said, the directors hated each other, so they were like going back and forth in their own movies just to get at each other for the points they made in the other ones. Like it was just a fucking mess.
It was a mess, and that's like an example. I was gonna say like incoherent world building, but like the world I don't think suffered. I think it was just the plot lines. Just the fans
Yeah,
of
just
the
the
plot
fans.
lines. Because like there was like they really flip flopped back and forth on like Rey's heritage, because like it was like
You're born to somebody, now it's nobody. Now it's somebody.
Yeah.
now it's the most important guy in the universe who got shattered to atoms. But
But he's back somehow.
Yeah.
And in a body that is shit.
Yeah, he transferred his mind into a body that is somehow as if he never died
Yeah.
in episode 6.
It was handled so much better in the comics.
The sequels were the final straw for me, honestly. That's why I stopped anything with Star Wars.
No, that's
I
fair.
don't blame you.
I've only recently started to get back into Star Wars.
I've taken breaks from Star Wars, although I did play the Fantasy Flight tabletop RPG, and it was really fun.
My brother played that, and he liked it a lot. Real quick, I was telling Mikey about this. In one of the scripts for like one of the scripts for episode 9 that was like proposed that never got made it through. So Snoke comes back. We don't do Sidious, and we learn Snoke's backstory, and it is the funniest shit ever, because he's like his backstory is that he was basically Biff Tannen at the Jedi Temple. It specifically stated he was like buff and hot, and he was like a bully around the Jedi Temple, and he's like, Kenobi, hello Kenobi. Basically doing that shit to people. Like, he's just like a generic bully giving like people like wedgies and wet willies and swirlies at the fucking Jedi Academy until Obi-Wan Kenobi steps up to him, and then they have like a lightsaber fight that like ends with him getting jokered because he loses the lightsaber fight and he falls into a vat of like chemicals, and it turns him into that. And that's
Why?
And so now he swears revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi, even though he's been dead for like 7 movies. So he's like, great.
Yeah, Darth Maul looks at him and says, "Get in line."
Yeah, I'm going to attack Rey now as revenge because you trained Anakin and Luke, and she was trained kind of by Luke. So now that's my revenge. Obi-Wan, you dick. I'm like, if you're gonna go that far with it, just make it Qui-Gon who scarred him.
Yeah.
Take it back that far.
Yeah.
No, Count Dooku.
Yeah, I was thinking. It was Yoda.
It was Count Dooku when he was good. And he trained Qui-Gon, who trained Obi-Wan, who trained Luke, who trained you, Rey. And you're the closest thing I have now to revenge on Obi-Wan for making me hideously disfigured. I used to be young and hot and buff, and now look at me.
Hollywood really is just out of ideas, man.
Yeah.
They are really just creatively bankrupt.
They are.
Well,
I also think it's just millennial writing. I think just
That's
millennial
another thing too, yeah.
millennial writing is just fucking terrible.
yeah, as cool as Avengers was, it really did set, like, similar to how you were saying, like, Game of Thrones, like, created the precedent of, like, keep them guessing. Never make anything.
Concrete.
Yeah. The Avengers made it, like, everybody's smarmy. Everybody's Tony Stark.
They're all Quirk Chungus.
They're all Quirk Chungus, yeah.
It's also fucking terrible that he's going to be the next Doctor Doom, which I think is retarded.
That is absolutely.
Do you remember when the last Thor movie had the screaming goats meme from fucking 2007?
Which one was that?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that one.
It had,
Thank God I didn't
it had
watch
a
that.
20-year-old dead meme. It played like, and it wasn't just once.
Yeah, because millennials think that's still funny.
Yeah, dude, imagine in the new like what's it called, Ironheart show.
Yeah.
You like the camera like zooms in on the main character and they're watching like Charlie the Unicorn on their phone on the couch.
They're watching that fucking keyboard cat.
They're watching Kimbo Slice videos of him fighting people in his backyard.
OG Fred. Like
See, if it was Kimbo Slice, I'd actually laugh.
Yeah.
Because that's some weird, obscure thing that, like, very specific fans of fighting know about.
Yeah.
I did not watch Love and Thunder because I hated Ragnarok.
You didn't like Ragnarok?
I hated Ragnarok.
Really?
Interesting.
I liked it.
No, I did not.
I thought it was like a fresh change of pace, and then unfortunately, I felt like Love and Thunder like went too far with it.
No, see, because the thing is, that's when I started. That's when I started like checking out of the MCU in general, was because everything was becoming that of like that was like the epitome of like what the MCU kind of is Ragnarok, where it's like you can't have a fucking serious moment because it's always interrupted by a joke. Like everything's way too flashy. There's
That's
like, the humor is so bad.
That is the thing that was holding the fucking Transformers 1 movie back. If the humor, like, the story of that movie was good, but the humor was so fucking bad. It was dumb millennial humor of just, like, pointing things out as if they're hilarious.
Jar Jar is the key to all of this.
He is the key to all this. We get Jar Jar working.
It all goes back to Jar Jar Binks.
It all goes back to Jar Jar Binks with George.
It's like a poem, like it rhymes.
I forget if I was talking to you about this, Mikey. Did I tell you about have you guys ever seen that footage of George Lucas reacting to the final cut of The Phantom Menace for the first time?
I don't think I remember that.
Oh my god, it's so funny because he's like. No, I was talking to somebody at work about this, but yeah, so it was filmed for this documentary, and like George and like all the producers and executives are watching like a screening of the final cut of the movie for the first time, and the second the film ends, they're all just sitting there like stone-faced in horror. Like they're all just like, and then George is just sitting there and he's like, I may have gone a bit far in a few places.
Oh yeah, I've seen that clip.
And then like it continues because they start talking about like it's the tone.
George, what the fuck were you doing?
Well, they're like, the tone is all over the place because you have like Qui-Gon's death, and then you have Jar Jar Binks like dicking around with droids in the field, and then you have like Padme Amidala's like serious thing going on with Newt Gunray, and then you have Anakin up in the sky jet fighting, going whippy, I'll try spinning, that's a good trick, and like it all just clashes, none of it flows, and then like they were talking about how you can't remove any of it because it was all set up, and it would just be like, well, what happened there? It's all blank, and they're just like, we just gotta release it as is.
I may have gone far in a few places.
I just love when he's done writing the script for episode 3, and then he just like throws it on the table, and he was like, "And there's a lot of they fight."
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
See, that was kind of the issue when it came to Star Wars. Because like outside of a few things, I don't really like Star Wars. Like, I used to be a very big fan when I was younger. But, like, now, when I look at the series, it's, like, the original trilogy, like, the Clone Wars series, and, like, some of the video games I'm down with. Everything past that, it like, just isn't good to me.
I agree.
And
I agree.
the thing is, why I think the original trilogy worked so well, and why it was such a standout at the time, was because, like, George... does have good ideas. He has like going back to world building. He's really good at like world building stuff and making these stories. But the thing is,
all the aliens.
Yeah, he had people rein him in though.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
could
yeah,
still have
absolutely.
that creative outlet, but people let him know when he was going too far. And then once he had that success from the original trilogy and he was going to make the prequels, he's like, well, I'm top dog now, it doesn't really fucking matter, so I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And it just was completely unfocused, because nobody was going to like tell him, hey, George, step the fuck back. And it just fell to shit. And then ever since then, it's been bad. So
I want to see the original cut of Star Wars, like, and by that I mean like
episode 4.
Episode 4, but nobody's allowed to tell him no. I want to see 60-year-old Luke Skywalker, because you guys know about that, right?
Oh yeah.
I want to see 60-year-old Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, weird ass alien looking Chewbacca.
Yeah, and he talks. He
Yeah.
doesn't make Wookiee noises.
Wow.
C-3PO is a sleazy car salesman.
Yeah, that's right. No, I wish we would have got more in the.
We were robbed.
We were robbed, but we
Just
didn't get more of the holiday
on the
specials.
topic of Star Wars, over time, I've come to dislike the Force and more of the like enjoy more of the like the underworld of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the bounty hunters and the smugglers and like the assassins.
Yeah, like your day-to-day guys.
Yeah, like I like especially them going up against the Force. I always find exciting.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they always have that underdog factor.
No, it is really cool. And on that topic, I miss when the Force was something that was like a mystical idea, as opposed to midi-chlorians in your blood.
Yeah.
But that, you know what the problem with that is that did you guys ever watch the Ahsoka TV show?
Yes.
No.
They kind of tried to undo that shit, and it was actually worse.
Yeah, it says too fucking late.
Because they had a character who like they like, so Sabine from the Rebels TV show, who was revealed to not be Force sensitive at all. They like Ahsoka trains her to be a Jedi because just like.
Now, I don't know about the rest of you out there, but I was like, "What the fuck is this?" When she was talking about being Force sensitive.
Yeah, cause like they were trying to like fight back on the idea of metachlorians, but like it just went like too far in the opposite direction. And then similarly, like there was a moment with Ezra Miller where like, you know, they tried to do like a Yoda thing from episode 5 where it's like where, you know, he says like the Force is my ally, and you wouldn't imagine him fighting with a lightsaber or whatever. And so there's a point where like he's like they're like in danger, and Sabine tries to hand him a lightsaber, and he's like, I don't need it. The Force is my ally. But then he goes on to just be like do karate to people, and it's like, if you're gonna do that shit anyway, and then he also does take a gun and just starts shooting people, and it's like if you're gonna talk like that, you have to be like a pacifist character.
Yeah.
Like you just use the Force to like blow people back and like disarm them. You don't like actually engage in the combat up front. You're
going like unarmed monk kind of idea, right?
Yeah. And even then, again, like, I don't know, there's something wrong to me about him doing karate in the sense of, like, actually, like, brawling with people. Like, again, I feel like you kind of need to, kind of shit away and be like, we do not fight here. We are all about peace. Like, I feel like, at that point, if you're like, I don't need a lightsaber, the Force is my ally, and then you pick up a gun and you shoot people, you're just trying to be cool, and you failed.
So back to world building, and not fucking Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, it's an example of broken world building, which, speaking of broken world building, this is what got me on the top idea for the topic of this episode. I know I talked with you a little bit about it. I know I mentioned it to you right before we started, but My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And the inconsistencies out of the fucking gate, dude. I couldn't stand it. Like, one of the things that really I just couldn't buy into it at all, because it's like, so they're like, okay, you need to be a pro hero, Deku, or you want to be a pro hero, you gotta have a quirk. You can't be a quirkless hero.
Yeah.
Impossible. Because you gotta go to the top school, you gotta go to UA.
But then they turn around anyway and say like, oh, but there's people who just make gear anyway.
That's also true, but
Yeah.
that isn't even what I was referring to. I was referring to like Class 1A. Okay, Class 1A. This is supposed to be the elite students at the top school for heroing in the fucking nation. We got guy with tape that comes out of his arms, guy with tail, ear jack girl, a little man with balls on his head
that he can throw.
and they stick, but they bounce off of himself.
Girl who's just invisible.
That I can at least see being good for reconnaissance, but like,
She's gotta get naked.
But I'm saying like top class thing.
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Like characters who make sense to be there. I haven't watched My Hero in a long time, so I don't.
Bakugo.
Yeah, Bakugo, Explosion Guy, Fire Iceman.
Yeah, Todoroki.
Shadow Guy, I could buy.
Yeah.
Electric Man, even though his power has like a big downside, but that's what you're in school for.
The running guy.
Running Guy, yeah.
Naval Laser. What do you think about that?
He gets sick every time he uses his power.
He belongs. I could see him, and here's the thing: is like, so I could see him being in a different class, still at the school, but in a different class, not in 1A. 1A should be, since it's specifically for the elite students.
Should only be a few people.
10 people max. It doesn't need to be a full classroom of fucking 30. Got Rockman who talks to animals. Not top tier. Sorry.
What I think helps the My Hero world work a little better is you're talking about this too. Vigilantes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's written by somebody else, but it's but that is a good series. I really like how they like bring it down to the street level, like you can see like a day-to-day basis, because like one of the main characters just doesn't have powers, or like he doesn't have a quirk at all. Like he's just a guy who's trained, and like he just enjoys like fighting things, and like cleaning up the streets of his neighborhood.
Deku should never have gotten a quirk. That's just stupid.
No, I actually really agree, because that was one of my major disappointments when I started that series back when it first started coming back. Because I really like the idea of, it's like, oh, this kid wants to be a hero so bad, but he just doesn't have a quirk, so he studies people like people's quirks, and he knows how to fight them, kind of idea. Like he knows how to work around that.
Batman.
I thought it was a really
literally Batman.
Yeah. But I thought it was going to be a cool concept like that, and then it's like, no, he just gets super strength anyway. Like, yeah, it's got the drawback of like he hurts
his body.
Yeah,
so
like he
much.
himself with using it, so it's like he can't just go around using super strength willy nilly. But like,
I'm gonna go back to earphone jack girl, because that is like the dumbest shit ever. You are practically quirkless. You don't even have like an Aizawa X factor of turning off other people's powers.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you fucking do with that?
She can listen to things.
Yeah. What do you?
Ooh!
And I feel like she would be in the same, like if we were going to be dividing them up into other classes, she should be in the same class as the Invisible Girl because that's another good
like a reconnaissance kind of, yeah. But my point is just like, you're telling me she's able to make it into the top class of all heroes, but someone without a quirk, impossible.
Yep.
Can't be done.
Nope, not.
Unable on all levels. If you're gonna do this kind of shit where the main character does have a quirk, it needed to be Lemillion. Like a quirk that everybody thinks is garbage, and he makes it good.
Which one's Lemillion?
He's the guy who phases through walls.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the reason why his quirk was bad and he made it good is because, like, there was, like, a lot of detail in it that I really liked. Like, for instance, when he goes intangible, he can't see because light passes through his eyes. So he's actually fighting blind. So that's why his quirk needs to be done, like, split-secondly because, like, it literally, light passes through his eyes, so he literally can't see during that period of time.
Yeah. And he can't breathe either, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just holds his breath.
And his quirk also, like, when he was younger, like, it would just activate, so he was constantly slipping through the ground, getting naked by accident, like, and so, like, again, that was, like, a really good example of, like, a quirk with a lot of downsides, but he made it good. And, like, I feel like if you're gonna make a main character with a quirk, you gotta have it be something like that. Like, just, like, especially to be gifted the most powerful quirk of all time.
It's so powerful it breaks me.
Yeah, like, that's just shit, dude. That, like, completely removes the underdog narrative.
Well, let's go back to Vigilantes, because, like, the main character in there, his quirk is, like, a repulsion one, so as long as he's got, like, 3 points of contact on a surface, he can glide across it. There are things that go on with his quirk later on, I won't say, for people who want to either watch the anime or start reading the manga, acts for some pretty hype moments, but as far as just that quirk goes, of like a propulsion one where he can just like slide across the ground, it's kind of cool because he starts like working with it, so he's doing like leg sweep attacks, and he's learns how to like get faster and control his speed better for like tight turns and stuff, so he makes for like good distraction on the ground and stuff. It's just again like very minor quirk or something like that, but you use it in a cool way.
On that note, and this actually does tie back into world building, I like it when the author or whoever actually like kind of takes like into account like fighting tactics to the extent of like a martial art on like on a completely different level. As an example, in Invincible, like when Omni-Man is teaching Mark how to fight for the first time, he's like telling him like shit like, as Viltrumites, because we create our own gravity, we don't have to shift our weight when we punch.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, so he was talking about like you do want to turn your body into it, but because we can move freely through the air, we create our own pivot point. And so as a result, like, we don't have to like follow like the exact techniques that like Earthlings do, because theirs is like a gravity-based martial art. So like the Viltrumites' way of fighting is built entirely around the fact that they can move in a three-dimensional space.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
really
that.
cool.
And it makes sense. Like, why would they have like karate
Yeah.
if they can all fly at birth?
Yeah, they can all fly at birth and fight in the air.
Yeah.
So on other cool bits of world building, how do you guys feel about like certain sci-fi world buildings and stuff? Because one of the ones I really enjoyed was Bungie's Halo specifically.
I enjoyed Bungie's Halo. I'm more of an enjoyer of space fantasy than like pure science fiction.
I agree.
Like, I do not find Star Trek appealing in the slightest.
Yeah.
I disagree with that, I will say. Because Star Trek, listen, on its world and stuff, I agree with you. There are episodes in there that are like real like head scratchers, like real like gut buster. Like do you guys know about the episode with Picard's flute?
I would not know.
I don't know anything about Star Trek.
So real quick, I'm gonna break this down for you just because I think it asks like a real interesting philosophical questions about like reality and our perceptions of it. Because so Captain Picard, they come across like a little alien satellite. They're like, ooh, what is this thing? And then a little like laser, like Picard like pushes a button on it, and like a little laser like comes out of it, like shoots him in his fucking dome, and he like wakes up and he thinks he's in heaven. He thinks he died for a second because like he's like on this planet. It's like very primitive. He has no way to contact like Starfleet, like and whatever. So he's like, I think I might have died. But then as stuff goes on, like he lives there for like years at a time, and like he's like starting to think that like the Starfleet just didn't exist. It was like a dream or something that he made up. And because he's been there for a decade now at this point, he's like, I don't think any of that space shit was real. I think I might have just had a really vivid dream or hallucination. And then he lives his entire life on this planet, and and this is important, he learns how to play the flute. And he plays it for like he has a wife and kids, and he plays it for his family at every get together.
Finn's Pillow episode, yeah.
Very Finn's Pillow episode. And then he lives to be like 90, and he dies like of old age on his deathbed. And then he wakes up and he's back on the starship, and he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And they're like, "Captain, you just got hit with that laser." It turns out, and they find out that the container it was like an entire culture, a civilization's culture that they knew they were going extinct, so they shot it into space and like beamed it so that it so that like their culture would die, would like live on.
Yeah.
Right? So they beamed that into his head, and he had a whole lifetime of lived experience on this alien planet that does not exist anymore. His wife and his kids, all fake, never real. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Are you okay, Captain? What did you experience?" And he's like,
I gotta go lay down.
Yeah, he's like, I need to go to my room for a second. And he like goes and he like looks out his space window, and he like just tears pouring down his face as he pulls out a flute, and he like plays it. Like he retained the skill from the dream. Mm-hmm. Because like, in his mind he played it for decades.
Yeah, he learned it.
And so it's just like, it's like I said, it asks like real philosophical questions on like our perception of reality, and like even if something isn't real, like but it's real to us, that can still have a profound effect on you.
Yeah, no, that is, I like when things do that kind of take, like again, like Finn's Pillow Fortress episode, kind of like that, like where you have an entire lived experience kind of idea.
I like that episode, but I feel like it falls flat a little bit because, so, he basically goes through the exact same thing, but the difference is that, like, Finn's lesson is to learn to let go. Like Jake spells it out for him at the beginning of the episode when he says, like, you're all hung up on imaginary problems. Like, for instance, do you see this mug? This is my favorite mug in the whole world. And he just
smashes it.
He throws it out the window. And he's like, see, now it's gone. So it doesn't exist, and I don't care about it anymore. And the problem, and like Finn has almost an opposite Picard's situation, because when he wakes up from the pillow fort and he leaves, he like dwells on it for a second, and then he forgets it, and then he never looks back. And it's like, I don't know, I don't really like that as much, because he
didn't retain it.
Yeah, he literally lived an entire life with like a family and kids and grandkids, and he's like, fuck that shit.
No,
Sigma male grind set.
Like I can see it working better with Picard. Like I said, it sounds like a really cool episode.
Definitely sounds like it has a better ending.
Yeah, it's very much more emotionally resonant.
But I guess it's just, the Finn one's coming at it from like the opposite angle. I guess it's just two sides of the same coin kind of idea. One's about letting go, the other one's about not doing that.
Yeah, about like what's real and fake, and does that even matter in the grand scheme of things? How badly would that fuck you guys up to like wake up from 80 years of life and we're back on this couch and
I'd probably be Picard.
I mean, that happened in Narnia.
Yeah.
They lived an entire life there. Like they were like grown people that have been ruling over a kingdom for decades, and then they like find the cabinet, come back through, and they're just the same kids on the same day that they left. but still remembered
Oh my-
everything that had happened there.
I would hate that so much more if I like returned to being like 13.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, they all returned to like the same kid age, but not only did they remember everything that had happened in Narnia, it still happened. Like that was all history that had happened to them. So when they go back, it would be like your king or whatever is now back to being a kid, and you just don't question it.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
I on a similar note to Narnia, there was a show called Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Oh, I've seen clips of that show.
I've watched parts of it. I've never sat down and watched it all the way through, but there's a similar episode to the Narnia thing, because what happens is Marco, the main guy character, he like goes to another dimension and undertakes a quest that lasts like I think something like 15 years, and he's like 14 or 15 when he leaves, and like he's 30 now in this dimension, and he finds out like time moves differently in this dimension, and he's like, well, I guess I'll go back home or whatever. He needs to be convinced. I'm just kind of skimming over it. But when he goes back home, he's like Narnia style, like in that dimension. Like I guess the way you age in dimensions in that universe is like if you were to like leave to another dimension and then come like live there till you're 60 and then you come back, you'd be this age now. But if
So
you go back, but then if you go back to that other dimension,
You're still 60.
You're still 60.
Okay.
So, but in any case, what happens is at the end of the episode, he like goes to like, he tries to continue on with his normal life, and he goes to like log into his computer, and he's totally forgot his password, because that was like 15 years ago.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and so my point is like that's a Picard take on the Narnia situation, right? Because in Narnia, I do remember, they kind of just laugh it off.
Yeah,
They fall out of the wardrobe and they're like,
Be like, wow, I can't believe it. Anyway, I'm glad we're enjoying a holiday from school.
yeah.
No, something I was going to bring about Halo before. Again, specifically the Bungie Halo, they kind of retcon. Well, not kind
343
of.
has bombed.
Oh,
on every fucking Halo game. It is a wonder they got the privilege to make more games.
I don't consider. This is personal opinion and all that.
Whoever
I
was
don't
running
consider.
Xbox was a fucking hack for letting that happen.
Yeah, I don't consider anything 343 has made as like part of the original Halo series that it's its own thing, because Bungie had a very specific like lore and world in mind, and 343 just went way off the deep end with that, because in the original Halo games, the Forerunners were human.
Yes.
And
they even alluded to that in like the OVA Halo Legends.
Yeah, they like they allude through it for like all the games until they like straight up say it to you at the end of the third game, because like every time you're on like these rings and stuff, like they look like Earth style environments. Whenever you're talking to like 343 Guilty Spark, like he confuses you for being one of the Forerunners. Like he's like, oh well, we've done this before. Like why are you questioning it now? I don't understand. Like, and they keep going about it. And the thing is, like the Covenant revere the Forerunners, and they try they worship the technology, but they can't use it. Like that's why like they're all freaking out like when they're getting to it, because they can't do anything with it really. But whenever a human interacts with anything Forerunner, it just works perfectly, like as though it's through like an extension of their own will without any kind of like knowledge on how to interface with this stuff. It's just intuitive to the human nature, because that's how the Forerunners built it. So it's like where they kind of like started off. It's like They refer to humans as like the Reclaimers, because it's like the Forerunners died out with the rest of the universe, and like the respawning of their species are there to reclaim all their technologies, so they're the Reclaimers. And like at first it was like, oh, is it just something that they were kind of like chosen by? But then like no, they distinctly say later on like, no, you are Forerunner, but like. Like when it comes to 343, they just kind of like shat on that, and they just turn Forerunners into an alien race. Like they're just something completely different.
Yeah.
Then how does that explain shit from the past?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Oh.
They retconned it so it's like humans are like a chosen species to reclaim.
Because the 343 studio thinks they can do better.
Okay.
They're like, oh, humans are a chosen species, and this is all stuff they're trying to retcon like retroactively. And they're like, yeah, they were just chosen by the Forerunners to reclaim all their technology, but also the Forerunners still kind of hate them because fuck them. And like the Forerunners all look like these weird, like fishy looking guys. They have this like really odd design. But anytime you saw anything alluded to Forerunners previously in like the original series, it was always either hinted at strongly or outright declared that they were just humans. Like they were the proto-human like spacefaring civilization like way back ages ago. And then when the flood erupted and started like eating everything, it got to the point they're like, we just need to nuke everything and reset. And that's why, like, when humans start coming back, they're reclaiming
It was the only way to stop the flood was to eliminate their potential source of food.
Yeah, that's why, like, in Halo 1, when you first meet 343 Guilty Spark, it's like, we need to activate the Halo so that way we can take out the flood. And you're just like, oh, yeah, sure, let's go do that. So you go and do a couple missions where you're following this robot around as he's, like, opening doors and shit and all that. And then like as you're about to, start up the Halo, Cortana shows back up and she's just like, no, that doesn't
destroy everything.
Yeah, because it's like it doesn't kill the flood, it kills their food, so it starves the flood out. That's why like the flood's still technically around, because it's hard to kill. It like starves to the point where it becomes just very minute pockets tucked away, or like lab specimens
or spores.
Yeah, so like whenever like there's an outbreak though, it gets that's another thing. The flood is fucking terrifying because it's
inspired by like the Tyranids and the Zerg and all that.
Yeah, it's like the Thing.
They're the ultimate bioweapon.
Yeah, it's super body horror. I know how you feel about body horror. Because the thing is, like, you're completely cognitive and, like, feel everything happening when you're taken over by the flood. And, like, you just become, like your body and will just become part of the hive mind kind of thing. And if the flood gets too powerful, it will turn entire planets into flood forms. So that's where the flood was at, where it was just, like, annihilating entire, like universes and stuff. And they're just like, yeah, no, we just have to wipe them out. Like, we have to kill everything so that way these things starve.
Guys, I think we should take a note out of 343's book. Let us rewrite a story, because I think we can do it better.
What story?
Lord of the Rings.
I can't do it.
No, I can't do it.
No.
I can. Let's begin. First of all, Frodo. He's like 6 feet tall.
He's 6 feet?
Yeah.
Is that even a hobbit anymore?
I mean, listen, he was already taller than the rest of the hobbits anyway. I'm just, I'm just bringing it. Also, Galadriel wants to smash him. I've always thought the problem with Frodo was that he was useless.
Her and Galadriel and Gandalf have a very intense sex scene.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck.
Yes. We don't shy away from it at all. And it's 20 minutes.
And it's 20 minutes?
No!
No!
It's not.
And Gandalf says, I leave this to you, Frodo. And he gives him his elven sword.
He gives him glam drain?
Yeah.
He's like, I leave this to you, Frodo, and he just peels the condom off after.
He wears it around his neck like the One Ring.
Yeah, well, I was saying, the One Ring's like a cock ring kind of thing. Let me borrow that, Frodo. I need it. I need his power. You mustn't tempt me, Frodo.
Gandalf, no.
Take it, Gandalf, take it!
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
With this, you'll get all the huzz. I love like hose has become huzz now. Brain rot, Lord of the Rings. He literally when he tells Pippin to kill himself, he just says it actually.
What's funny is I was
Kill yourself in Minecraft.
Pippin, you serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
Hell yeah, dude.
What's funny is I was actually joking about that with somebody at work one time, where I was kind of like rewriting the Lord of the Rings to be kind of like that, where it was like Saruman is like he's just full of like white guilt. So he's like I am no longer Saruman the White. I am now Saruman of many colors.
He wears the pride flag.
Yeah. Shimmers.
I'm surprised the Rings of Power didn't do that.
I was thinking of like Gunnar Samwise Gamgee. Because
No, he's incel Samwise Gamgee because he can't ask any of them out.
No, I was
he can't
asking-
get the maidens.
No, I was thinking of like Gunnar Samwise, like your garden's not the only thing I edged, Master Frodo. There was a reason why I was in the Goonies.
Oh my god, I
Crack dealer Gandalf just rocks up to your hood.
that's what he looked like in the fucking animated movie.
Comes out from behind the tree.
You guys ever see that in the
Uh.
animated Lord of the Rings? Before he leaves, to like when he first tells
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, I mistake. When he's telling Frodo and Sam they need to leave the Shire, like there's a point where he just turns around to leave, and then he just goes like, and then he looks at Sam and he goes, just to get him to flinch, and then he leaves for no reason.
It's you, Charlie. I wonder if that's what that was a reference to.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Oh.
He did it because he was mad at Sam for spying on them. So
Oh.
he was trying to get back at him.
Probably.
That's why he did it.
Dude, that
You think you're
movie's
spying on me?
movie's wild
We gotta
because
watch that.
The rotoscoping is awesome.
I love rotoscoping, dude. It looks so good.
we will watch it. I own it. It's
Do you own it?
I own it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll bring it over like one day for like movie night. Yeah, in that movie, dude, it's great. Samwise has Down syndrome.
Yay!
Yeah, and that's not me. That's not me saying that. That was like a trope in the '70s. Was like having a mentally deficient like sidekick character, and that's the role Samwise fills in that movie.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Now that's some real character assassination. I don't give a shit what they did to Master Chief. They hurt my boy Sam.
They hurt
Yeah.
the boy Sam.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. The whole movie's like, that whole movie's wild, dude. I love that it just ends.
It's a terrible looking Balrog.
Oh, that the Balrog's great. I
Oh
love him.
man, it's not good. Although that scene with like the goblins is terrifying, just because of like how they edited to make like the goblins all red and black.
Dude, I love the scenes where they're hanging out. What's the second Elven city with Galadriel? Well, not to get hung up on this, but you know the scene I'm talking about anyway.
Where they're in the forest.
I love this. I love that point in the animated movie because they're all just like dicking around for a hot minute. Like
No,
the
best is-
evaporates.
The best is,
Well,
is
that's
fucking
how it
when
happens in the
Gandalf
books,
goes to
too.
Saruman at Isengard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like
Dude, he forgets his name. He literally calls him like Agumon or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Aruman.
Aruman. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just takes the S off. He does that for like half the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what happens in the book. Is like after the Knights of Moria, they do take a rest at I forget what it's called, but they're there at the elf place, and they do stay there for like they say like time moves differently to them.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like a month passes essentially.
Oh, okay, I can see why. Because it's funny because that's not communicated in the movie at all.
Well, the thing is, they kind of cut that out of the Peter Jackson ones too, which works because you're trying to keep the pace of a movie.
Yeah.
Like in the book, you can slow down a bit, let the characters digest what the fuck just happened, and they kind of like work.
but in
through
the
it a
time
little bit.
span of a movie, you can't.
Yeah.
Did you see what Boromir looks like in the animated movie at all?
I can't remember.
Does he have the red hair?
he's got red hair. He looks like a generic
Like barbarian guy,
Viking,
right? Yeah.
like with the horned
helmet,
helmet.
yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
And he's dude.
That's very D&D cartoon.
Yeah. He looks like
He looks like Bobby in the D&D cartoon.
Yes, he looks exactly like that. As a
That's-
matter of
that's
fact,
hilarious.
And his sword. It's really funny because this is more like an animation error. But like his sword is meant to be like chipped, like all the
Okay.
way up. But because of the way that the rotoscope animated it, it looks like a Chris.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like a Chris curved sword. And I'm like, why?
Wavy bladed.
Yeah, so it's like he looks like a Viking with a Chris, and it just does not look
That's
right.
bizarre.
But the reason why I bring that up is just because there's a scene when they're in that elven village where like him and what's his name, Aragorn, are like sword fighting for fun. But they're like, rather than it looking like them training, you know, like ooh, getting ready for battle or whatever, they're like ting ha ha ha, ting ha ha ha, ting ho. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Sword make funny noise.
Yeah, like they're just dicking around.
It's the water bucket scene from Berserk.
Yeah, it's like on that level.
Yeah.
And Aragorn, everybody brings up how so real quick, and I don't mind this, Aragorn's Native American in that movie.
Yeah.
Which is just an interesting choice. But he also doesn't wear pants.
That's
No,
also
he has
true.
like some weird skirt, not part of it.
Yeah, he just wears a tunic without the pants.
Yeah.
No,
He's free balling, man.
and then the scene
The true king.
the scene in the Mines of Moria where Frodo gets stabbed is so funny because it's just like, rather than like kind of focus on it for a second, like, oh my god, are you okay? And then they show the mithril, and then like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then it's a reveal, and then they move on. It's just like he gets stabbed, and then like Aragorn like kneels down to him, and he's just like, I'm fine. And then they get up and they just leave. Just diffuses all tension. It's great. It's a great movie.
I'm still chuckling about the Gandalf doing the low tier god speech.
Yeah. My favorite part, not a meme, but like it's actually in the movie, is when Gandalf comes back and Frodo spurks the fuck out. He like dances in a
He like jumps around in a circle.
yeah, and he goes, "Oh my god, Gandalf, it's really you!"
Oh.
Chill the fuck out, dude. No,
That was late 70s, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe. Yeah.
Late 70s were a time.
Also, that movie was made in like 2 or 3 months
That makes sense.
as a whole. Like,
Also, I guess when it comes to world building in general, Lord of the Rings is probably like top tier. Specifically
There's
because,
a reason why Dungeons and Dragons has used that at its base.
Well, yeah, because Tolkien spent like years crafting an actual like world and history and language.
Also,
and all
yeah,
that.
I'm about to say like a complete other language. He was.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I made a language. Might as well make a story to go with it.
Something to do after the war.
Yeah.
but speaking of worlds, I think that we should go out and explore our own. Don't you agree?
Yes, we can pass by all the homeless and crackheads.
Much like Bilbo, I enjoy my maps.
But all right, guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode, and we hope to see you here next week in the corner of the tavern. There we go!